Welcome again to this YouTube channel. You know that we do interviews to people interesting because they are experts in NLP or because they apply NLP in interesting different jobs. So today we have here a truly expert in NLP. That's the truth. It's Tina Taylor. Tina Taylor is an NLP master trainer of NLP and also is a trainer in clinical hypnotherapy. She's a friend and for me she's someone that really knows a lot and from I learn a lot. And we would like to talk about, with Tina today, we would like to talk about pain control and other topics related. So Tina, welcome.
Thank you, and hello everyone. Hi.
And well, you are very well known for being a trainer and working close to Richard and to John Laval and Kathleen Laval. But also you run your own, I don't know how to call it, it's not an institute, certification in clinical hypnotherapy, is that right?
It is, yeah. When I learned NLP, the hypnosis part fascinated me. Mm-hmm. So I then went on and I did a degree in clinical hypnotherapy. And now, for the past 20 years, I've been incorporating everything that Richard teaches me with the psychotherapy and the clinical hypnotherapy. Okay. And now I've come up with this college that I've got and a diploma.
Okay, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big achievement. So, as far as I know, for many reasons, you do not just pain control, that is something that I would like to talk with you, but also all these painless childbirth that is very interesting, and that I was going to say that I try, but it's not true, but I've been involved in that at home.
You've had painless childbirth, Jamie.
Yeah, well, I experienced how all the techniques that you teach and that you have in your book work very well, because at home with my wife, that she applied and she got really good results with that. Tell us a little bit more about pain. How pain works in our brain. What can we do with pain and why we can do things with pain?
Well, pain is a message telling us something is wrong. Just recently I've had toothache and I've been so happy that I'm really good at pain control because it was telling me there was something wrong with my tooth and I needed to get it fixed. And that's really what pain does. It says, hello, you need to look at me because you've got toothache, you've hurt your leg, you've pulled a muscle. Please don't use this anymore until it's better. And then what can also happen is we can get pain when we look for it. So for example, where with childbirth is a great example actually, because so many women believe having a baby has to be painful, and it doesn't. It's like they've been hypnotized into thinking that it has to be painful, and so it is. And the guy that I got all my information from is a doctor called Dr. Grantley Dick Reed, who found that he called it the fear, tension, pain syndrome. And I think this doesn't only work with childbirth. I think this actually works with all pain, where he said when we get scared, and a lot of women when they're having babies, they're scared, they don't know what's going to happen, and the media helps us brilliantly by showing us all these women screaming and wailing and get it out and everything else. So they have all these preconceived ideas, so they're scared, and then they become tense and their muscles become really tense, and suddenly they're trying to use the biggest muscle in the human body and it's very tense and it makes it much more painful. When they relax and just go with the feelings in their body, it's hard work, yes, but it's not that painful. And it's the same also when people have injections. If they're scared and they get all tense, the injection really hurts. But if they just sit there and relax all their muscles, the needle goes in much easier and it doesn't hurt. So it's all about how we think about pain and how we deal with it. And we can disassociate from it. We can pull away from pain and make discomfort go away.
Well, I was thinking in a book that I read recently, maybe 3-4 months ago. It's called The Brain's Ways of Healing or something like that. And it talks about a lot of things, about Alzheimer, about Parkinson, this and that. But it has a chapter dedicated to pain. And there was something very interesting that I read. It was like that person was like putting together a lot of different studies and things. I was saying that another reason for pain is that it's like the brain gets used to the pain in a way that it creates a circuit, and the more this circuit is activated because there is an injury or a chronic or almost chronic thing, that neurological pathway gets stronger.
Yeah, so which is why you have people that have had limbs amputated.
Yeah, exactly.
Still have the pain in their leg because the brain is still firing off those signals. And I work a lot with people who have chronic pain, cancer patients, for example. And they're always quite surprised because the first thing I say to them is, when does the pain go away? And they look at me like I'm crazy. And they go, well, what do you mean? I have pain all the time. But people don't have pain all the time because it does go away. Without drugs, it will go away. So eventually we find out that recently from an elderly gentleman that had chronic pain from cancer, he found that when his grandchildren visited, he wasn't in any pain because his mind was distracted and he wasn't looking for pain.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, people look for pain. And if something hurts, they'll go, oh, that hurts. Oh, I wonder if it hurts if I do this. Oh, yes, it does. Oh, does it hurt if I do this? And I remember somebody that you also know, and I think we both very, very fond of, who unfortunately isn't with us anymore, Dr. Ron Perry, who worked with the patterns of physical transformation. I love the fact that when he was working with people, he said the problem is they're always looking for the problem. They're looking for the pain and the discomfort. And you need to get them to focusing on what's comfortable at the moment. And by getting these people with chronic conditions to think about, okay, so when my grandchildren were there, it actually wasn't painful. So what was going on in their brain at that point in time? Their brain, that signal wasn't firing.
I guess that in a way it's like the brain meaning the whole person gets used to certain things, like almost like we could call it, I don't know if it's a mental or strategy altogether, but at least it's like a skill that the person has, like a habit, right? Yeah. To look for the pain, I mean, and that obviously if you're thinking in the pain, and that can put your mind into that mindset, and I guess that's what you're saying, right? Yeah, I mean, I said recently when I had my toothache, I thought, oh, ow, that hurts. Okay, so now I need to acknowledge. So I basically said to myself, okay, so I need to go to the dentist and get my tooth looked at, which I did. And I still periodically kept getting little messages from my tooth saying, hello, you haven't dealt with me yet. This hurts. Yeah. But then I could just switch it off. Yeah. And move away from it. But you see, I'm used to doing that. But a lot of people, when they have pain, all they keep thinking of is, well, how much does it hurt? And where does it hurt? And because the more they focus on what hurts, the more it hurts. Yeah. A great demonstration, when my daughter was having my grandson, the midwife came, and the midwife kept saying to my daughter, how much pain are you in? And I said, please don't ask her to look for pain, because if you look for pain, you'll find it. And she said, well, that's a load of rubbish. And I said, okay, can we just do a little experiment? And she said, okay. And it was a bit naughty, because I then said to her, have you ever hurt yourself? And she told me about how she pulled a muscle in her back. And I said, oh, and what did that feel like? And I got her to explain in great detail how it felt to have backache. And the next thing, she's going, oh, it's like I've got that injury all over again. And I went, well, there you go. You see, if you look, your brain will go, I know, I remember what that was like, and the brain will represent it for you. Well, what you say, it's very interesting because it reminds me, one of the things that Ron Perry always was saying is that look for comfort, and the way to look for comfort is to think about something comfortable, something that in NLP we work a lot to manage states, emotional states. And again, it's a habit. It's something that I learned from Ron, is like have the habit of creating comfort states.
Yeah.
And the more you create that comfort, the more in your brain will be hardwired that way of feeling and not the other way of feeling, right?
Yeah.
The thing is that, well, I guess that and it has to happen with you. I mean, a lot of people don't know about NLP, so then I guess that they feel normal in the same way that when Becca, my wife, was she was pregnant with both children. Always you have these people trying to hypnotize you, saying what you said, right? That, well, it's going to be hard, it's going to be painful. So in a way, you begin to forecast emotionally what is going to happen. But in the same way, we can forecast and we can create nice and comfortable states, right? Instead of training the other ones. The other ones.
Because when you go into the unknown, that's always a challenge. I mean, just recently I was challenged because my tooth was so bad I had to have my tooth out. And I'm thinking, I've never had a tooth out. What does that entail? What would that be like? And I started to run down this, well, you know, what's going to happen? And then I thought, well, no, that's stupid. So I just stopped those thoughts. And I went in to the dentist, and she said, are you nervous? I went, nah. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to relax myself now. And you do whatever you need to do, and everything's going to be okay. And I did have the Novocaine, and I just opened my mouth, relaxed, took myself off somewhere else. And within no time at all, she'd taken the tooth out. And she said, wow, that was so easy. Because I was just completely calm. Yeah. And I had no idea what was going to happen. But I thought, well, it's not going to hurt because I have drugs. So what's there to worry about?
Well,
people don't think that way.
I remember while you were talking about that thing that Kathleen Laval always says when we are in the trainers training and we do the reception for people and do all the paperwork and everything, and when we joke about that she insists so much that you don't ask how was your flight, how long was your flight, did you have any problem in your flight, right? So are you excited about the workshop? These kind of things, these questions pre-frame or frame the mind into something, and it allows us to access certain, not just information, but also states. And sometimes as these dentists, we not aware of how just a simple question can set your mind into the wrong idea and the wrong state.
Yeah, and the medical profession are great for that.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. I damaged my rotor cuff falling off a horse many years ago. And when the doctor was examining my shoulder, he started off by saying, "This is going to hurt." And he's been my doctor for many years. He's retired now, and I knew him really well, so I kicked him. And I went,
The same with psychiatrists, actually. I remember once I was in accompanying a person with a psychiatrist, and I remember him saying, well, this is going to be a long and painful process, which in that moment I was going to punch him in the face, because it's like, well, I don't know how you can foresight the future, right? But what is the reason to say that? And some people would say, oh well, then you don't create too many expectations. But you are doing the opposite thing. I mean, the opposite thing, it doesn't have to be good either.
It's like, what is wrong with giving people hope?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we don't seem to do that anymore.
Yeah. Or I know why. Because then, if it doesn't happen, they will get frustrated.
We'll get sued.
And I always, that's certainly the truth.
We'll
But
get sued.
in terms of out of the medical profession, which I have examples of that, of people saying it's going to be worse, and if it's better, then they get you know, it's because of me, right? But out of that, when you think about the impact that just certain words can happen to people, when people say, well, because if you say, oh, you're going to get this, and then doesn't happen, he will get frustrated. And I always say, well, we'll deal with the frustration then.
Well, yes.
Why? In order to avoid the frustration, let's create the worst scenario possible. So the person don't access to a good state. So the person is not in the peak performance state. So the person cannot get something. So obviously it will happen that. It's not positive thinking. It's not wishful thinking. It's just access to the right state. And with Becca, which unfortunately she became a master of pain control because she broke her cross tendons and she had a big problem with the tooth, and she had 2 not easy childbirths, and she became a kind of an expert in pain control, whether she wanted or not. But it's for her. It's like, okay, wait, don't tell me anything else. I'll do my own stuff. Stop talking. I'll do my own stuff, as you said.
Yeah.
And she creates her best state, and sometimes, as you, she goes out, she dissociates, but not everybody knows how to do that, and then you are victim of your own professional. It could be a doctor, physician, or whatever. Yeah. It's very sad.
I think it's with the whole childbirth thing, because I went around and I got people's strategies for how they achieve painless childbirth. And I got the idea from Richard, because you know, he went out and found out people that had got rid of their phobias. Yeah. What did they do? So I thought, okay, I know what to do. Yeah. I know, I'm going to follow the master's footsteps. I'm going to go and ask all these people. So you had an easy childbirth, what did you do? Yeah. So I got all their strategies and I found a pattern and I started to teach it to people. And I think this is something that we're meant to do anyway. But nowadays, we give the responsibility for our health and well-being to other people.
Or learning, or education, or
everything is not our responsibility. Yeah. So we don't do things for ourselves. So our first port of call isn't, oh well, I can do that for myself. It's is there a drug for this? Yeah. What can the doctor give me? Yeah.
Get rid of this, please. Get me out of this. You know how to do. You are the expert.
Yeah, you're the expert. You get me out of this. When for a lot of these things, we can actually do it for ourselves, but nobody's taught us how. Yeah, that's the problem. So people just don't know how to get into those states, so they can go to the dentist or go anywhere and just relax and be in the right place at the right time for the professional to do what they have to do. I don't want to pull my own tooth out. That's what the dentist is for. But I managed to help the process to make it easier for them.
So that reminds me something, that it's true what you say, is that, okay, people sometimes they put the responsibility out of them. But it's also true that in this society highly technified, it's true that they make us believe that the experts are them in ourselves. It's something that that Richard also says is, I mean, well, who is the expert in yourself? It's you. I'm the expert in NLP. I'm the modeler, but you know how to do things. Is that sometimes you don't know how to do it. And that in the case of birthing and the case of having a child, it got to a ridiculous point where you have to go to a hospital, especially in Spain. Here it's different, but in Spain you have to go to a hospital to have a child, because it's almost an illness that it needs a clean room, and you need doctors around you and nurses and all the tubes and everything. And when you explain that here in UK it's quite common to have a child at home with the midwives and etc. The people are shocked because we tried with the first one. The first one couldn't be with the older one because he was a little bit breech and it wasn't easy. But with the second one, we did it at home and people were shocked, like, what, we're back to the Middle Ages or what, right?
The Middle Ages.
Yeah, the point is that, excuse me, for hundreds of thousands of years, that's the way that it was supposed to be. And I think it's just an analogy to talk about what you were saying, that we know how to control pain, we know how to deal with our brain, we forgot, or we don't have all the tricks or all the strategies, but once you have it, or have them, then you are able to do these things. And I think that that's the best thing about NLP.
The other thing you can do as well for pain control, which I've done it a couple of times now, is by using hypnosis, you can create an anchor to something like an aspirin or a paracetamol or an ibuprofen, so that the cancer patient can take one of these fairly simple pain control drugs that usually are not expected to help with the pain associated with cancer. Yeah. And you can make that work for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's placebo.
Yeah, because it's only the brain's response to the drug. It's not the drug that causes the effect. Yeah. So there are so many things we could do to make life so much easier for people by creating these anchors, these associations with different products.
So the point here for the people that are watching us is that if we can explain like this way, we can access to a state of relaxation. Yeah. We could call it trance. We could call it just relaxation.
Yeah. Meditation.
Meditation.
Or prayer.
Or prayer. And from there, I guess that we create a state of comfort, or we recall a state where we were feeling good. That's probably one of the ways. The other way is to move away from us and to see each other from the outside, a dissociation. That could
Great way to get rid of headaches, and I did this when we were in Barcelona, is for somebody that has a headache, they, in their mind, see a mirror in front of them, and my mirror is always like the one from Snow White, you know, the Wicked Witch's mirror. So I see the mirror there, and then I see my reflection in the mirror, and then the headache goes into the mirror. So you can dissociate that way, and then you feel much more comfortable, much more relaxed, and you're able to function.
I was talking. We recorded an interview or a chat like this with Roberta Liugori, and who is a trainer of NLP, and you know that she does these crazy things of Ironman.
Oh yeah, I know.
She runs a lot, she cycles a lot, she swims a lot, and she was explaining to me that when she's like super tired after running, cycling, swimming, and all of this, and she still have to go, what she does is spontaneously, almost, she realized that she goes and she sees herself from outside, and that keeps her going, right? And it's very similar what you're saying. It's like, if I'm not there, I cannot feel so much. That's the kind of a logic, right?
And it's what sports people do anyway. I mean, you hear of athletes finishing races and they've got an injury that should never have allowed them to finish the race, but they did it. And they disassociate. Now, these people haven't been taught to do it. And a lot of the women I spoke to that had easy childbirth, they disassociated. Well, they weren't trained in hypnosis. Nobody taught them how to do this. So this is obviously something we can all do, and we've just forgotten how.
Well, some people tell me things like, "Oh, but I already know that," or "Yes, NLP doesn't invented many things. Hasn't invented many things. NLP modeled people that knew how to do it. I mean, it's not that they invented techniques which also happened, but a lot of times the techniques came from people that knew how to do that.
Exactly. And so many people say to me, well, you know, NLP was invented. I say, no, NLP wasn't invented. NLP is a model of human excellence.
Yeah.
NLP, it teaches us what other people can do, and if they can do it, we can do it.
Yeah. So one of the things that you began to say, and I found it very interesting too, is that the mere fact of to relax, that to find a way not just to create a good emotional state, but just to relax the muscles, that helps the pain for just because it's a mechanical thing, right?
Yeah.
That just for that reason. And if I understood well too, it's that sometimes it's what we are thinking what is going to happen, what tenses us in advance.
Yeah.
And that makes everything more difficult.
Yes, it does. Yeah, because if we're tense, I mean, if I'm tense when I'm going for an injection or to give blood, for example, if I need to give a blood sample and I'm really, really tense, it can make it difficult for them to find the vein, which then causes problems, and then it can be painful. Yeah. If you're tense when you're going to have an injection, it can make it more discomfort. My eldest grandson, he had to go and have a blood test for something. And I hadn't realised that he didn't like needles. But my daughter knew he didn't like needles, so she said to me, "Mum, will you take Joshua for his blood test?" Now, she didn't tell me he didn't like needles. She just said, "Mum, will you take Joshua for his blood test?" So I go in quite happily, and the woman comes out with a needle, and he's like freaking out. And I'm thinking, okay. So with that, I just had a little chat with him, and I got him to look at me and not look at the woman with the needle that was freaking him out. And I got him to breathe deeply and slowly, because obviously when we get tense, our breathing changes and we start going down the fight or flight response. Yeah. And by breathing deeply and slowly, you oxygenate your lungs and your muscles, and everything feels more comfortable and relaxed. And he didn't even know when she'd finished, because he was so busy looking at me and following my instructions. And he said, "Is she going to do it?" And she said, "I'm done." And he went, oh, well, I didn't even feel that.
Well, one of the things that I read about pain is that pain is processed in different parts of the brain, and it is a part of it's connected with visual, another with auditory, another kinesthetic. So it's interesting because apparently the more representational systems are involved, for example, in an injury that a cat, for example, so you see the cat, or you hear, or you feel, and it increases the sense of pain. Yeah. What it makes me think is that if you are freaking out because you are already imagining the needle entering or a knife cutting you or whatever, that increases the pain just because you're putting more representational systems there, and that increases the sense of pain. So it happened to me, and it probably happened to people that are watching us, but sometimes you cut yourself and you are not paying attention.
And you don't notice.
And you don't notice.
You don't know, and then you think, oh, I'm bleeding.
Exactly. But if you see how it happens, that is more painful. So in the same way, I guess that if we create mental representations of the painful thing is going to happen, we already begin to feel pain of something that hasn't happened yet, but is going to happen. So, wow, that's super interesting, Tina, and really I think that people that are watching us, if they put a little bit more attention about how they think about the pain, how they relate with the pain, and with the tricks that we gave to them, and obviously if they want to learn how to control and manage the pain and all these things, so they have here a super good professional. But I think that we gave them quite a lot of tricks and things that they can use. So Tina, thank you very much for being here with me.
And thank you for watching.
And please subscribe to the channel for more interviews, for more videos about NLP, and see you next time. Thank you very much, and thank you, Tina.
Bye. Again. Thank you, Javi.